Hello Maharshjan, Valcharash. It's Marie from Skeletorama again. Welcome back to my channel. So we are on episode 2 of case number 4. I'm going to forget this, I'm sure, by the end of these. But we are working on the whole big fireplace bookshelf unit thing for the Scooby-Doo house. So we just did the fireplace in the last one, so we're going to do the overmantle in this one, and we're going to put them together and see how they look. So I hope you enjoy. So for the time being, I've just set the acrylic blocks on there, so that should hold that down. It should hold that center part to the back part as well, because as you can see, it's a very shallow fireplace. Normally when you make fireplaces, I want to say they're 1.5 to 2 times as thick as that. Okay, so now we have the overmantle part. So this is the part that's going to be sitting up here on top, and this is the part we're going to put some mirror in. So I have this right here. Hopefully it won't glare too much on you. Let me open it up. As you can see, I've already used a part. I'm going to flip it over just so it doesn't glare, but see, ooh, shiny bit. It's got a plastic coating on the top, you know, like you peel it off to protect the mirror part, but I'm thinking this may be big enough to do this, and it is. Nice thing with this is that we can cut this with scissors. You can cut it with a paper trimmer. You can do it however you like. So I'm going to do the same thing as I did for that, where I'm going to put it here. See, you've got these notches here. We don't want this to extend past there because that's the plane that this is going to attach, right? So we don't want it to interfere with this attaching at all. So what we'll do is we'll line it up with that inner tab. Well, let's see, let's do it this way first so I can at least get it a little more manageable. So I've got it lined up here and here, so I can take my pencil and I can mark right here where I want to cut that. Okay, so I'm gonna get my guillotine cutter out. I'm gonna do like I did with the other one, put this top up here so I know that it's straight. Bring it to right there. And the pencil mark is, I'm gonna cut nice and slow with it because it is a plastic, so if you go too quick, it can tend to do weird things on you. Okay, so there's that part there. So now we're gonna line this up again with our straight edges here, here, and here. Are they fitting? They are. So we're gonna do the same thing. Gonna slide it down to the center on this one so we can get this side, because we need a square this time. The other one, it didn't matter because it was going up to the top of the piece and there was going to be extra room, so we didn't have to do the length, but we do on this one. So I'm going to bring this out here, line this up, put that right on that pencil line, and I very slowly cut down. Boom. Okay. And so this should now fit very nicely in this section here, because just like the other one, we're going to need to apply this first and then glue it together. Okay, and it looks like this could use a slight trim. It looks like it's going just a little bit wonky. There we go. Okay, so, and then, you know, pull the, it was just coming off a second ago. And I'll pull this off when we're ready. Okay. And the nice thing with this is you just glue it down with regular glue. You don't have to do anything special to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put glue. Actually, does it have the sticky? It might have the sticky on the back. Here, let's not do it to that piece. Let's do it to this piece. Stupid. Oh, it does. Okay. Sweet, even better. So I'm going to peel this now that I know it definitely does. I think that's what I did last time too, is I stuck the backing down and it started coming off. I was like, what the hell? Trick is to get the backing off and not mess with the protective film on the front. And I'm going to put down a little bit of insurance on here just in case. I'm going to line this up as best I can on here. And when you put the liquid glue down, if you have something sticky like a sticker or something, it makes kind of like a little barrier between your sticky and your substrate for long enough for you to move it around if you need to. Okay, I'm gonna look on the back and I don't have anything poking out where I shouldn't, so that's good. All right, so now we can work on putting this one together. We're gonna do it the same way and do these short sides first. Now, the deal with this is gonna be a mirror, okay? And we've painted these a wood color, but you know, we're gonna have this here. It's gonna be reflected in here, so you're definitely gonna be able to see the back of this, and it's not quite gonna look right with the same color, because see, here's the color. Well, it doesn't mean it doesn't look bad, but where's my extra piece? Just wondering if it might not be a good idea to just put this on it. You know what? No, I'm gonna leave it. I don't feel like messing with that because that's a big pain in the butt. Well, yeah, no, it would be a pain in the butt. Although I'm very OCD. So let's see. Yeah, because this, now if this was the same width as halfway across, once you take these into account, it would be different, but there's going to be like a little gap there. So you know what? No, hell with it. We painted it brown. It's good enough. Okay, so for this, I don't want to take this protective coating off right away. I think I'll put the two sides on and the top on, and then I'll take the coating off because I should be able to peel it off without much issue. Just going to make sure that my corners are peeled away a little bit so I don't have a problem removing it once we have it together, but I really do want to keep it protecting it. So same sort of thing, we're going to have this to the inside here. Let's try to fit that. Let's put you this way maybe. Okay, so it's going to go in here, so glue along this and this and this. There we go. Do like I did with the last one. I'm going to sit this here, give this a chance to dry a little bit. Now this I do kind of want to take the extra glue off, just because I don't want to accidentally glue the mirror stuff down that I need to remove. All right, so we'll just get that little extra bit of glue up. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you know, again, I don't want to accidentally glue the protective film down to the mirror. And this stuff, it's an acrylic mirror sheet. That's what I put in Amazon, I think, was acrylic mirror sheet. They're nice and thin. I mean, they're cardstock thickness, a little bit more than cardstock, because they're just basically a sticker. And yeah, they came up. They're not very expensive at all. You get them in a pack. These are what, 6 by 6? There's probably a good 10 sheets in here-ish, you know. It's a good alternative. All right, so now while that one's doing okay, I'm going to do the same this side. Try fit, make sure it's fitting good, and it is. And this one, like the other one, I'm going to let it set up for a minute, I think. Well, I could probably get this top on. Let's see. Yeah, I can get the top on, I think, without having to move it. Yeah, I can. Okay. So I'll move this out. Oops. Just a little bit so I don't get glue right on it. I'm going to put glue on this because that's, yeah. Smarter, not harder. Okay. Glue here, here. Again, it's going to be brown side in because we're going to cover the other side. But we want this to, you know, when it reflects it, we want to see at least wood coloring, you know. There we go. So just like the last one, I'm gonna press this really good. God damn it. Okay, and if you push too much on the sides, it'll bend in the middle. Great, because I needed that. All right, I will reapply this glue. Yeah, note to self, go with the kits made out of thicker material. All right, so I'm going to do like I did last time. I'm just going to let it sit here until it grabs, because right now this arch is a very weak point in it. I don't want to press too hard like I normally would to make sure it's sticking. No, I have to, because it's not. That's good. You know what I'm going to do? I think I just might put this in here like so. Okay, so you got two of these. One's got two small ones. One's got a longer piece and a smaller one. So this longer piece is clearly the one that's going to go here. No, you know what? We're going to stick with the original plan because that worked much better. Okay, this is where it needs to be. I'm going to put these here. I'll come back to you guys in about 10 minutes or so. Jesus. All right, so our very frustrating overmantle is dry enough where I can turn it like this and it's not going to collapse on me, because wow, that was cute. So I'm going to go ahead and do the top one first because this arch here is definitely a weak point. So I'm going to do it the same way as I did this one here, where I'm going to put it on the inside of this. This one's slightly different. So it's going on the inside of here, the top of here, flip it over, inside of here, top of here, and then it's got notches over here. So it's going to be the inside of that little tab and the top of the notches. So a little teeny bit different, but all right, let's get this in here so we can get this solid enough to continue working with it. Okay, and this one I'm just going to gently kind of pull up on it because it ended up getting bent when I was trying to push the rest of it together. Okay, extra glue, and then I'm going to do the same thing I did with the other one. I'm going to go ahead and tape it just so I don't have to worry about it. And then this one I'm going to do it slightly differently here, obviously, because we've got that mirror in there. So what I want to do is, now that I have a clear shot, I want to take this protective film off. So I'm going to aim it away from you guys when I do that so it doesn't cast too much reflection. Okay, I set it up here. Now on this one, I'm going to do the insides like this. And then I'll do a tiny dot here and a tiny dot here where it's going to hold that. I'm going to gently encourage it to go where it's supposed to go. I don't want to push down too hard on it this time. Okay, let's get some tape here. Go ahead and tape these like I did the other one. It's a little too much to try to hold it together. Okay, and then just like the other one, make sure this is in there, and I'm going to hold this for just a few minutes and I'll come join you back. We'll go ahead and take the tape off of there. All right, so this is dry enough where I'm going to very gently take the tape off. Make sure that I don't take any of the chipboard with it. Or if I do, just the tiniest little bit. Because yeah, so far this one's very frustrating, but again, I'm used to their kits being a lot thicker material, so this is one of the thinner ones. Oh, a little bit. Okay, so now we did the inside of this black, so I am going to take my Copic marker and I'm going to do this right down here, so at least it's uniform, and then I'm going to hit this edge in here before we put the paper on. And then we're going to match the paper up here. We're going to see how closely it matches. When Laura Carson does these kits, the digital kits that go along with these things, she's pretty darn accurate. I'm going to go ahead and do like a little tiny bit because of course I'm paranoid that it's going to have a gap or something, and the most likely place for it to have a gap is where I've cut around a curve. So I'll just do a little bit on here. Okay, so let's take a look at our front of our mantle. I'm going to scoot this over. Okay, we're going to sit this on here and see, it fits beautifully. Now there is a tiny bit where it could have shown a little bit of a gap, but really nothing much. Okay, so that is good. I am going to take this off here for a second because I want to put this onto here because I need to see, and it's an exact match. And then I don't know if you can see, hopefully it's not going to glare too much, but at some point, probably when this collapsed here, that's why I left the protective film on. This was even with the, well, that's piece Kaffir, but even with the protective film, I did manage to scratch it slightly when I did that. Let's see, how can I get that? Oh, this little piece of tape here. There we go. All right, so this is going to fit exactly. So these are going to go down the length of this. Okay, so it's not going to have, say, a traditional mantle sticking out. That's not to say we can't put one on there. But then again, to match this and this will be problematic. So it could be that this is just a, hey, build along with this kit thing. And this will actually go, maybe I'll do a book nook one of these days and I'll put it in that or something. So anyways, let's continue, shall we? I think we might be able to at least take the bottom part off of this, because what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to glue these two together, I think. Well, the question is, when I put this on here, maybe I should put it with this exactly matching, because I can always sand on the inside if I need to, or on the bottoms or whatever. Should I put these together before I do that? Let's see. You always know when I'm like stuck for what I'm doing because I say, let's see. In other words, I have no freaking clue what's going on here. So maybe like that. Okay, so when I look at this, it's showing, you know, like these sitting directly on something. So I think that's what these are for. There's like these deals here. So this will go on that seam between the two at the top. That's what I'm guessing. I don't know if you can see it. All I know, if these were frustrating, I know those side shelves are going to be frustrating too. So, yay. All right. Go ahead and take this off of here. And I think it might be a good idea on this one, instead of doing it black, is to use the brown. So I'm going to go ahead and go around the edges with the brown. Alcohol marker here, just so if it shows, at least it's even. That should be helpful. And I'll do the same sort of thing on the bottom here. And then I'll color the sides a little bit. Let's see, this doesn't have a brush tip, it has a bullet tip, which is a lot firmer and a lot less helpful. So we'll use the chisel tip instead. It's a little easier to manage on something like this. I'm going to go around the edges just to make sure that if there is any gap, you know, you're not going to see it. And with this, I should probably go around these edges too while I'm at it. Just in case my measurements are off. I'm not worried about the sides because we're going to have those two bookcases right next to it. All right, so this is now going to go onto this. I think I'm going to go ahead and glue these together, and then I'll put the stuff on. So I'm going to use just regular PVA glue. And now I'm going to go whoosh and stick them together. So I'll give that a few minutes to set up. Definitely don't want to push on the wrong spot on this again, but as long as they're both flat and that's sticking onto there, we should be good. So I'll see you guys back once again. Okay, so these are stuck together pretty good. I've taken one of the little cutout pieces and just set it in there for now. So that reflection, I don't want it to cause any kind of glares, make it hard for you guys to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on first, and then this, and then we'll kind of see where we go from there. So now on these, I want to take my brown pen for sure, and I want to do just the inside of these, and like on that one, maybe the top, not the sides, because we're gonna put the other sides on there. So I'm probably gonna have to cut it down. They don't fit exactly. I don't think it'll matter, but I'll do that real quick too. So on this one, the top and the sides, it's all good. This one, the sides and the bottom, it's all good. And we'll hit everything else with this. And again, when you do this, see how that gets rid of that white core on it, so it doesn't stand out so much. With this, it's also got like this detailing in here. So I'm not going to want to trim from in here, even if it overhangs that a little bit, just because I'll lose that detailing in it. So just go around here. Again, like I said, always go from the back. So that way, if you slip, you're going to make a mistake on the back, not on the front. Ask me how I know. All right. Put that on there, like so. Okay. I think we're ready to stick these down. So I'm going to put the glue, I think, on the piece itself, because there will be, you know, maybe a little bit that's hanging over this way, hanging over this way. I'd rather not have to deal with it having glue all over it. And this way I can go right up to the edge on this piece. I'll go down a little bit because I think it extends down just a little bit. I want to get really close to the edges on here, because this is the part where it's, yeah, it's real crucial that it stays stuck. And whenever I do these, I press down real good. Then on these edges, I'll kind of try to press it down and over the edge a little bit. It's just so I can make sure that the very edge is making really good contact. I'm gonna do the same here. I did cut one of these out, but I just don't think it looks right there, so I'm gonna leave it off. I'm gonna put this on. Now this one, we've got kind of this dark line here where it's a piece of trim, so I'm gonna make sure that this is lined up with the top and the center, and that those pieces of trim kind of line up a bit too, so they don't look weird. And this, I'm not going to bother trimming those bottom little pieces off. It's not going to stick up that much. Let this sit up for about 10-15 minutes or so before I go trimming the edges off. I'll probably sand them actually, but I want to give it a minute, because if your glue and your paper are still kind of wet, a lot of times it'll tear and pull and kind of start pulling into your stuff you want to keep. So I'll let this sit, and then I will be back with you guys in a minute. All right, so this is dry enough now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over first, and I'm going to take my X-Acto, and I'm going to go ahead and very carefully cut away any extra that's on the outside of this. That way, you know, when we sand stuff down, we're just sanding it to clean it up. We're not trying to remove most of the material, because your sanding can tear things too. Okay, and if it's still hung on, don't try to tear it, because you will. surprise, surprise, tear it. Okay, so there we go. That's nice and neat. So I'm going to take my sanding block. It'll be very gentle because these two pieces are, you know, glued together. Here, let me get my little anti-reflective thing in there. Oops, wrong one. Yeah, let me go ahead and sand the side that has nothing to do with anything. It's brilliant. All right. So I'm just going to go along and make sure it's nice and clean. We want this to be straight, of course, because we're going to put the, you know, other piece on the side. And so we don't want it to be wobbly. Okay, so there we go. And then I'm going to take my brown marker again. And now I'm going to do these outside edges, because I just want to get rid of that white core of paper. Okay, so you can kind of see, like along here where you can see the white. I'm just going to go along it here. And then this way you'll be able to see the difference, what it looks like when you do that. And this is an alcohol marker, so I'm trying not to let it linger too long in one place, because it will tend to absorb way too much ink when it does that. Okay, so now it's not as stark, the edges of that. And so for this one, we've got these pieces here on the outside, and then we have a piece for the top. So let's see which one it is. Is it this? Clearly not. Is it this? Oh, that's cute. So there is no piece on it. Seriously? Wow. All right. Well, guess what we're putting on the top? We're putting this piece on, because I'm not leaving it not covered. I don't know if maybe because they're expecting it to be in a room or something. Let me check something real quick first. Okay, so I do have some dollhouse things. I'm just curious, how would that look at the top of it? Kind of dumb because there's nothing on the side. I can't exactly miter that. Okay, is that this one? Nope. All right, cool. That answered that. All right, so since we're going to have to do it weird for this piece, I'm going to go ahead and put this piece on first, the top. And then, because I totally forgot, but I'm remembering now, I'm going to at least get the leading edge of this. My alcohol marker. I'm going to put this up here. I'm going to put this in the center, because see how it's got the ends on there? I don't want one end to have that and one end to not have that. That would look kind of dumb. Okay, but I just really want to make sure that this leading edge is very, very, very straight. Otherwise it's going to look like it's off. So I'm going to let that set up before I go to trim it off. In the interim, I'm going to fill my glue. So catch you guys back in a sec. The glue is all filled up. This should be good enough where we can cut the ends off. And we'll worry about sanding that down in a minute. Well, I might as well do it now. I am not, however, going to sand down the front because I don't want to take a chance of ruining that material. Okay, so that's why it's best to line the stuff up at the front. So now we have our side piece. It's going to go on here, like so. So put about like that. See, and this one has it too, but this is way too far down, so whatever. Okay, I am going to go ahead and do the front of this just to make my life easier. This will be my leading edge. I'll go ahead and do my top edge too. All right. So now, oops. The only drawback with the needle bottles, sometimes the needle likes to try to come off because it'll get stuck in the cap a little bit. All right, so let's go ahead and get glue on this one. Okay, so I'm going to line it up with this decorative detail at the top, because if I have to cut it off at the bottom, I'm not as concerned about it. So So I want to make sure the edges that are really lining up are the front and the top, because if they're off, it'll look weird. It looks a little bit white right now, but that's just because of the glue. If it stays white, we can hit it with the brown marker again. So same here. I'm gonna have this like so. So actually go this way. So I'm gonna hit the edges of this with my marker also. I like to put it in the direction I'm eventually going to put it on there, so in the case where I've done that, I don't forget what the heck it is I'm doing. It's not perfect, but usually it works. So we'll do the same thing. We're going to let this set up a bit, and I will join you back to trim it up and to hit these other edges. Okay, so this should be good enough where we can go ahead and cut the little bits of extra off the back. Nope. That's what I mean. So if it's a little too damp, that's what can happen. So if it does, just stop what you're doing, lift that up a little bit, take some glue, put a dot of glue on there. You know, if your glue will come out, which clearly mine has decided not to. There we go. And then take your paper and smooth it back up. Try to get it exactly where it was. It's always a trick. Again, we're going to have the little bookcase things there, so it shouldn't be a huge problem. But again, that's what happens when you're impatient, like I am. Clearly, I didn't wait long enough. Am I going to try to keep cutting that? I am not. I'm going to leave it the heck alone. But I am going to free these ones because these ones are pretty much almost there. When it does that, sometimes I'll just hit it from the other side and go in the other direction because it was putting stress on the fibers in that first direction. But yep, see? Again, we're going to have the bookcases. So now, hey, I guess we're just going to attach the bookcases to it. Why not? I already know that I'm gonna be frustrated big time doing this. So I'm gonna use the one thing that doesn't snag it, and that's scissors. So there we go. Same here. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this a little bit here with my scissors. Not even gonna mess with it. I'm not gonna try to sand this yet though, and this I can disguise with the pen. All right, I thought it was dry. All right, let's try this side. Yep, it's doing the same thing. So in that case, I'm just going to sand it before I end up tearing it. Okay, go ahead and sand this part. I'm just going to be really careful when I get down to here to go this way. I don't want to go that way because that's the direction that I tore it in. Okay, good enough. I had already cut the bottom parts with the scissors. That's why I was thinking, oh no, it will cut fine. It's great. It's ready to go. Not. Okay, so back to the brown pen. Go ahead and hit these edges with it. All right, so there we go. So we've got our little fireplace going on here. So this does look a bit flat to me because of course it's just paper glued to cardboard. So normally when you have a fireplace, it tends to be a little shiny. So I'm going to take matte Mod Podge. Even though it's matte Mod Podge, it is a bit shiny. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to coat the front with it. That will do a couple things. That'll help protect it and it'll give it that shiny finish. Just know that your paper can start to warp a little bit when you do this, so try not to put too much on for starters. And then if it does, just try not to touch it. Usually it'll kind of go back down. but poking at it is not really going to help you much. I just want to give it a very light coat of it, just enough to give it that little shiny look that I'm after. It'll also kind of help seal these edges too, especially on where these pieces of paper meet here, and then on our sides. So I usually will run my brush in the direction of where it's going to start accumulating, so I know it gets in there, and then I go the other way. So we'll let that sit there and dry, and we'll come back and we'll probably start on the bookshelves to go with this. All right, so that's the end of part 2. We got the Overmantle and the Fireplace together now, and I've got to say those kits were very, very frustrating. Probably because they're a thinner material than I'm used to, but the kits themselves are very well designed, and they did come together in the end, which was the important thing. So we will be moving on in episode 3 to the bookshelves on the side. So hope you guys come back for that. See you then. Beannachd. Bye.